Welcome to the Combat Report, episode 21. As always, yours truly, Brian, here with Devin, aka Mr. Guy the Stampede. And today, you know what time it is, Devin, right?
Podcast time.
It is podcast time, and it is time to talk about the Street Fighter 6 closed beta.
I can dig it.
And here at the Combat Report, I know you want to know who played the closed beta. And you're in luck because of Mr. Guy the Stampede. We both got to play the closed beta. As we know, this guy next to me, he is always going to have the hookup on whatever we need. And did he get one code? No, he got two. And thank you, Mr. Guy the Stampede. Because of that, I did get to play. And because of that, we are going to delve into this beta and give you either a thumbs up or thumbs down on it. And the first topic we are going to talk about is the Street Fighter 6 character creator. Wow. That's the first thing I can say about this.
Yeah. I can't believe on how much character creation is actually out there.
Yes.
I didn't get to play exactly at 2:00 in the morning whenever it opened or whatever.
Good thing, because I did.
But waking up in the morning and seeing what kind of crazy characters are possible.
Yes. Basically, you can have any kind of noses you want, any color of hair, hip size, skinny arms.
Literally glowing skin.
Also beats that are the size of Texas around your neck. That the neck is the size of a pencil. This character creator, I thought this was basically letting you know they are here for the degenerates. Yeah. They are here for people that love, Sam-sized Cheeto bowls and bowls. At 4:00 in the morning, those types of people. If you are that person, this character creator is for you.
Yeah, if you like making purple people in the Dark Souls game.
Or Street Fighter, not Street Fighter 6, actually Soul Calibur 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is what that reminded me of,
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that that's even more extensive than what they have in Soul Calibur. But
yes.
In Soul Calibur, they at least needed to make sense, whereas in Street Fighter, it's all hitboxes, so who cares?
Yeah, it is.
So they really don't care, but they've really been able to cater to that. It's not something that's extremely simplistic and everybody kind of looks the same. Only reason why you should look the same as anybody else is if you didn't put any thought into it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's that simple.
No, it is. Yeah. Because it was a thing where, I was wondering if the feds were going to break down the door because some of the stuff I saw was just almost, I thought, breaking the law.
Yeah.
So, this is something where they are showing that they are starting to allow more creativity, in my opinion, giving, the people who play Street Fighter, people who are new, more options, and I think that was a hit for a lot of people to their character creator, because I'm pretty sure some people that are degenerate didn't even get past the character creator. They just played 3 days of the beta in the character creator mode. So that's you. Congratulations. But luckily, me and you, I think, got past the character creator. So with that being said, we are going to talk about the training mode. Mm-hmm. And the question, after playing in the training mode, is it the best ever in fighting games? And let me tell you, Devin, why this training mode, in my opinion, was so good. First, you can see the startup bars. The startup moves, it was a game changer, with being able to see things in the tutorial mode intertwined with the training mode. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
I just really love that. You can see things such as a tutorial for anti-air practice, offensive air practice. Also, you can see for throw escape practice, drive impact defense practice. I mean, those are just a few things you could do. Also in the training mode, they had, for beginners, you got a definition for frame, total, recovery. You had different colors for frame data bars, such as Counter-Strike, post-damage block recovery period, the projectiles active time. I mean,
it's a lot.
It's just so much. And also, compared to Street Fighter V, they had 8 pages of tutorials, training mode versus 5 for Street Fighter V.
Dang.
And I mean, it was comprehensive. There's basically everything that you need. And also they have preset training regimens in this. So, I
love that. That was actually my favorite part about the training mode in this game. Is not very often do training modes really offer you anything more beyond combo trials and just the ability to like take over the other character, if you even get that one to even record other moves. It's a lot going on here. It's like the being able to have just like whiff punish training available right on a menu that's immediately within training is pretty nice.
And also it invites new people into the game, because that is one thing I think that's been a barrier with a lot of fighting games, is not having enough beginner-friendly modes. The training mode being beginner-friendly. And that is something with this. I just love how they give it to the layman's terms of, like I said, giving definitions for frame, total, recovery, because not everybody knows what that is.
Right.
And you want to be able to give people a way to get in at the level they're at. If this is their first fighting game, or if they played all the way back to Super Turbo.
You know, this may sound weird too, is like in DNF Duel, whenever I was playing that, it seemed like for the way that ranked was structured, the people who were actually good at the game were able to level out of the earlier ranks. Like you would have to 100% intentionally throw all the time to stay in the lower ranks. And that made it to where you could actually just play the game, so to speak, at your pace. And I think that Street Fighter 6 is kind of set up in this same way, where if you're first starting the game and you don't know about whiff punishes, you don't know about drive impact punishes, you don't know about how to use really drive impact to its best potential, or how to use even like burnout against your opponent in the best way, you're going to end up being able to target those things a lot easier, because one, you know what they are based on what they're going to tell you, and two, there's an immediate training available for it without having to like search up YouTube tutorials and see what people actually use for whiff training. Like, no, like the whiff training is right there. If you know that, if you're trying to get better and someone's telling you that, oh, you just got to whiff punish, your normal's better, there's a whiff punish training right there. And it's going to be great. And I think the DNF did it's weird that I said the DNF did a really good job of that, but it's more of that, like, I didn't have to start learning about doing reversals, like the guard reversals, until I got into gold. And so I think the same thing's going to apply here, that the people who know how to use all this stuff already are easily going to get through gold and better. Yes. And then once you know about things that you're not being able to do, you can easily go back and just reference that and then knock it out and then iteratively get better at the game if you want to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, this is the first training mode I've seen in a fighting game where if you are a beginner all the way to an expert level, there's something for you to level up on. And I think this is something that is really going to give Street Fighter 6 an edge on other fighting games, because you can tell they took the time they needed to make this a exceptional training mode. And just as a beta, I think it might potentially be the best training mode ever in a fighting game.
I could see that for sure. Because, I mean, the problem that's always arisen with competitive parts of fighting games is always going to be effectively the frame data. And very few games make frame data comprehensive. They'll put, some of them put startups and stuff, like Street Fighter 5 had startup frames and stuff, but there wasn't like this overarching like thing that you could see over time. No. Same with Tekken. I think Virtual Fighter even had some of that where it was kind of like layered up, but there wasn't enough like data in it to like make it look like something you could reference. It's more of just like, okay, like looking back and forth, what is any of this? And same with Tekken, like you saw some bar action, but not as comprehensive as Street Fighter. So yeah, I would go so far as to say it's probably the best one to date for sure.
Yeah. And one last thing on that, I believe, is that it's not intimidating. That's the one thing with frame data is it, I know me personally, in the past, it's been intimidating to look into that. What is +2 me versus -2, hit on stun, plus on block, those types of terms. And I think with this training mode, it might make it easier for people who do not know what frame data is to get into it, to really understand it and not be so intimidating and so frustrating. Yeah. Because that's something that I know with people that don't play fighting games really have an issue with. So,
what's cool too is that with the way that all the normals, like effectively like 90% of the normals and specials don't have any plus frames. Like pretty much everybody has only one plus frame normal. Right. And it might be one frame or two.
Yeah. It looked like Street Fighter 6 doesn't have a lot of plus frames at all.
And so it makes it also to where newer players can effectively just mash out a lot of stuff. Yeah. They can challenge a lot more things very easily without somebody just walking up to you, being able to hit a crouching medium and then just keep putting crouching medium out there 3 or 4 times And so you don't have to know what your actual invincible moves are, because if you just also throw out your own crouching medium, you're going to beat their crouching medium by 1 or 2 frames already. So they've like purposely built the game to kind of be like scrub friendly, if you will, to make you actually understand that, like, no, you can't just keep doing this. You can't. So yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah, it is. Because I think this is really good, and they killed it with the training mode. So let's move on to the next section we're going to talk about with the beta is, what did you think overall of the gameplay in Street Fighter 6?
Overall, like, the gameplay, I felt at first was kind of like slow, almost muddy, because it's like you would hit buttons, but like you wouldn't be able to continue to hit buttons. Like I was saying, like,
right, it's really heavy.
Nothing's really that plus, so it's like it doesn't feel as fast as what you normally would see, because
it's not at all
able to throw out those like crouching mediums.
Kind of like Tekken 7, actually. It's not just where you can just do this silly thing or thing. It's a lot more mental of a game that I feel like in Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, and as soon as you get beyond that idea, you're no longer trying to throw out some of your fastest stuff to like introduce artificial fastness to the game.
Yeah.
You're having to, bait other pieces. That's when the game starts getting fast. Whenever you're whiff punishing, because that kind of stuff is quick. Whiff punishing or drive impact punishing or something like that.
And coming from DNO Duel to this, woo, it was a learning curve, because I was acting like it. Yeah. Because the first few matches, I was like, wait, I'm not playing. Wait, they don't have Ghostblade in this.
Yeah. There's no magic series in this.
No, it is definitely not. So yeah, it is a lot more bait. And also the mental stack in this game is a lot more than it was for Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, the mental stack is what's going to really set me above, because I remember fighting a Guile, and I was mostly just messing around, trying to figure out things and seeing what was going on, knowing for a full fact that like my normals aren't plus on block. And once I was like, all right, forget it. Like, I'm no longer going to experiment. I'm just going to play. As soon as I did that, oh my God, the game sped up and I ran through the Guile. I mean, it was crazy. Like, just how fast the game actually can be once you're actually just applying what you know.
That's the thing. You have to have that learning curve, because it took me a couple hours, to get into the first day. And once you get it, it does speed up. Because at first, it's frustrating. That first hour, rough. I am not going to lie to you. It was really rough that first hour. And the one thing that I like, and shout out to James Chin for this is not a direct response to Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
It's its own game. I feel that Street Fighter 6 was really started from scratch. And it feels fresh. It feels very hands-on. I can really get my hands around things. Now, they did address concerns, like the training mode, and Netcode, which we'll talk about later. Those are the things I love about it. It's not trying to continue from Third Strike or from Street Fighter 4 or, Alpha. It's its own game.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really love. And it seems to be a continuation from the developers on Street Fighter 5 at the end, the last couple of seasons, where the game of Street Fighter 5 got better. So I'm really excited and really glad that the developers didn't just, always make a direct response to something else.
I do wonder if they're going to end up putting in like extra supers and whatnot. I feel they probably won't, just because they already have like 3 supers already plus more.
Now they did that in Street Fighter 5 with the new mechanic, later on, but they might do that. But I feel all the characters do have enough moves, enough supers. I'm pleasantly, pleased.
I think that the only reason why they would end up introducing something like that to the game is if they really felt as if the gameplay was stagnant. But I don't believe that the gameplay in its current state is set to be stagnant anytime. Like, it seems like there's going to be a lot of creativity built in the way that people play. So, like, the idea that you have to have other supers to try to do other things, like, they're not going to limit you in that regard. So they're going to allow you to have all the tools at your disposal. So, like, if you're playing El Fuerte and you had a Invincible Super 1, but Invincible Super 2 is not invincible, in this game, you have both of them available to you. You just have to wait for your actual meter to build. And so now your tools are all present. So if you want to be able to use that tool, you have it. So that's why I don't think they'll put in the extra supers, but I'd be interested to see if they do anything like that, because I know for a fact they've got to be on a 10-year plan with this at this point. That's pretty much where all games as a service are going, is on 10-year plans.
Yes.
And so I do wonder what they're kind of targeting to try and expand the game when it comes to like the idea of new things being added, like that we've seen so far, like Street Fighter 4, how they added extra supers and ultras, and the same Street Fighter 5, how they added extra supers and V skills.
Right. Yeah.
So I do wonder what they're going to do with this. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it is. I'm glad you did this about a 10-year plan. I'm hoping that it is going to have a lot of longevity to it, and they are planning out up to something like 50 characters, because fighting games now need to be more than just a couple of seasons. And it needs to be, because we know that game that's coming. We always talk about in every episode of Combat Report. They will have a 10-year plan.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, because what I would really love is for an Alpha 3 or like Marvel 2 level of like cast where it's just like everybody.
And that's something that people are wanting. Obviously. I would love that.
I want an Alpha 3 where it's like every single character. I'm waiting for that to come back. And I know that like it's kind of superfluous to have, especially because of Street Fighter 5. Like they introduced a whole bunch of one-off characters that are playable.
Right.
There'd be no reason to add all of them. But if they did something like maybe Smash, where you pick one character, but you can pick like the iterative different versions of them.
They need to.
Minor differences.
They need to do that.
Then maybe that would be cool. But I would love to see another one where we could have, Eagle and Gen and Geki and all of those guys. Gouken coming back. Like I would love to see all these characters come back. So, Sodom, like I would love to have all these characters that have been in the series literally together in one game. And I don't know if that's something where they just need to do an Alpha 4 and call it a day, make it very simple. But yeah, I'm interested to see where they go forward with the game for sure.
Yeah, that's something that I would hope they would listen to. Please, Capcom, listen to Mr. Guy Stampede. He will lead you to more Skrilla. So with that, we are going to talk about the drive gauge, something that is brand new to the Street Fighter series. And overall, before I get into it, because I got a lot to say about the drive gauge, what are your thoughts on it?
The drive gauge is a really interesting mechanic to add because of so much built into it. And I think the part that I love the most about it right now is like it limits EX.
Totally agree with that.
You won't be building up 4 bars of meter and then being able to do 5 EX moves in a row, basically. I know that's only 4 stock, but you're bound to build 1 more stock of meter if you're just burning EX, basically.
Yes.
Because if you do, let's just say if you do like 2 EX moves in a row, there's not a whole lot of room to do something else. Like you're stuck doing.
You're almost in burnout state.
Yeah, you're like you have to hope to kill. Otherwise, the only recourse you'd have is to be able to do maybe a drive impact of your own if you're not killing. So massive damage, cool, but like. You got to be careful because that stuff's coming in. So I like the idea that like EX isn't something that's just going to be available all the time at any given time. That obviously means that they're just like focusing more on neutral and the tools that are at play. And so like that whole gauge is just a cool thing that so many resources are tied to. And that's what I talked about with the free form flow. How do you use it?
Right.
And that's kind of been a big thing too. Whenever people were first looking at it, first being told about it and first getting their hands on it. They've always said that it feels very free form where you can kind of do what you need to do with it, that you need to pay attention to it. And that's part of the mental stack. Overall, I really do enjoy it a lot as it currently sits. Cause for me, I've always played from being lower skilled than everybody else that I play around. And I've always had to be tricky. And that's how I've been able to survive right now in Street Fighter 6 is being tricky with that gauge. That gauge allows me to be so tricky.
Yes.
And I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the one thing that makes it so great for me, the gauge, it makes it where players can play with different styles, conservative versus unorthodox. Because you don't just now see players playing with one style.
Yeah.
Because that gauge makes it to where, do you just want to spin the meter right away? Do you want to be more conservative? Which kind of drive, do you want to use?
Yeah.
Parry, impact, rush. And those are the things that I really do like about it. And also on this is resource management. This makes it to where now you're going to see different countries, different states, different parts of America.
Yeah.
Japan versus Korea versus America versus Europe. I really think there's going to be so many different styles that you're going to see really sprout up with this drive gauge. Yeah. And how many different things with different characters. Because remember, we only saw 6 characters. Or was it 8? And we will still have 10 more characters. And we're not even talking about DLCs yet.
Yeah.
So that you will find different things on the drive gauge with each new character. That to me is really exciting that you're going to do. And something that really nobody has talked about is burnout state is 20 seconds. I love that.
Long ass time.
I love how that will really change the game. If you're in burnout staying in the corner, how are you going to react off of that?
Yeah.
You know, and especially in big terms like Evo, Combo Breaker, CEO. When you see top players and they get in burnout state, how are they going to develop a strategy to fend off that? Because 20 seconds is a long time.
Yeah. It's a very long time. And in this game, I have yet to see timeout yet so far. And I know that it was weird is like timeout was such a thing in Street Fighter across Tekken. Like,
that's true.
And even in Marvel 3. And it's kind of funny to think that whenever nobody knows what they're doing, the game just kind of times out. And as it stands right now, the timeouts aren't really much of a thing. So I wonder how like burnout is going to work when it comes to the timeouts. Because the damage right now doesn't seem like it's out of pocket.
No. For a beta, that's a really good point. Usually the damage is, OP.
Yeah.
Usually. But this was very balanced for the damage. You have to... A Street Fighter game, you have to earn your win and not get cheap stuff.
Yeah.
That is really good to see.
So I wonder how many times that burnout is going to end up resulting in either a timeout or something like that.
Yes.
Because even whenever I was against people that did put themselves in burnout and they would run away, there was still time left over to fight once burnout was over. So even though it's 20 seconds, it's a long 20 seconds.
It is.
For some reason, it's still not really affecting timeout. So I'm interested to see how that goes further on as people be able to build more damage and actually combat against burnout and see how that works.
Yeah, because the thing is you got to realize we only had 3 days to play.
Yeah.
So you really didn't get to see how burnout state's going to really, when the game comes out, affect a match.
Yeah.
You did get to see some top players play a little bit, but they're filling out the game. All of us are, 72 hours is filling out the game. So we still don't know what burnout state's going to really do at a higher level of gameplay.
Yeah.
So, we will see that 20 seconds and see really what it does, because I'm pretty sure the top level players will find a way around it.
Yeah, for sure.
Once they lab it out, it'll right now it sounds like a big deal because we haven't got our hands fully around it. And once we do, they'll figure it out. I really think so.
And I thought right now the problem that people are talking about is like basically landing a heavy that's got plus frames, because whenever you're in burnout, all your attacks now have +4.
Yeah.
So landing a heavy attack that's now positive on frame and then doing drive impact right after, whenever you can't really react to that, is going to cause problems with stun in the corner. And so I do wonder where all that's going to land with how that works, whether or not it's going to be, configured a little differently where like heavy attacks aren't going to have that frame advantage and everything else kind of can, because, they're not really worried about that attack into drive impact. But I could see that one thing is something that I think a lot of people are very worried about at high level, is if you get in burnout, you're in the corner, somebody lands a heavy attack, they're going to immediately go into drive impact. And that's going to be one of those things where you're just not going to be able to get away from it. Heavy attack, drive impact, super.
Good night.
Yeah. And that's what I think people don't want to see. And I think that the Street Fighter 6 devs are probably aware of that, because they do want that freeformness. They don't want there to be an answer, the optimal answer for something.
No.
So we'll see what they do to that. That's probably the one thing I think that they're worried about right now, but we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of drive impact, we have a lot of topics, a lot of conversation about that mechanic. I think it's the most controversial mechanic.
Yeah.
And the question is, will drive impact be a major problem? Me personally, yes. Absolutely. And the reason why I feel it will be a major problem is because new players, when they're in burnout state, in that you can basically use drive impact in that corner and you're donezo. Oh. And with new players, that's going to be a thing where I think they're going to put some limits on drive impact because you can spam it. And if you're in burnout state, that's going to be a big issue. And I just think also it being a focus attack and can absorb 2 hits, that's going to be an issue. Not that it's a great thing, but it can be spammed right now, and they might need to change that up, because I saw a lot of things where when 2 people drive impact, the second person, it gets the advantage all the time.
Yeah, that's the way it's actually designed.
It's designed that way, but it's going to be kind of, I think it's going to be touch and go.
It could be. I think that at lower skill, drive impact is going to be very soul crushing. But I think once you get to the mid range, drive impact is going to be used a lot more like intelligently, and then high, like pro level play. Like I don't think that drive impact is going to be that crazy because like no one's going to be doing it on reaction to anything because a lot of people are going to wake up with lights, and you can light super, you can light special attack. There's so many answers to it that pros are already labbing as far as that goes whenever you're in burnout state.
That is true.
So that's something where like as a noob, like it's going to be a problem. Whereas for pro, it's probably not going to be that much of a problem. You'll probably see it, but it's always going to be something crazy that you didn't even think it was going to happen.
And that's what I'm saying.
You hadn't seen it for a long time in these matches. And it may go two whole rounds, and then all of a sudden, one pro decides to throw it out, and the other one had the answer right then and there. And you're just like, what, dude? They were ready for it. Like, it's just not going to happen that often, I don't think. It's not going to be that much of a problem at high level play. But definitely, those who, like, in mid to low levels, is probably going to be like, you know, kind of a crusher for the newbies that don't know what they're doing, or like they're just looking for those blocks all the time.
Right.
They may not quite understand how drive impact is really going to change the flow of the battle. So
yeah, and see that's the thing about it, because like drive impact, even if you block in the corner, you do wall bounce and you can get a combo, and that's something when you're a newbie. That's going to be really eye opening, and you know. I think that's something you might want to look into because
I can see that.
That right there is a little bit frustrating if you're new to a game.
I think that you're limited though on what kinds of combos you can do outside of that, because like you may be able to do that into a super or something.
Right.
You're not going to be able to do that into like a special move. You could probably do like one hit into a special move or something, but like it's not going to be like super crazy. But I do see what you mean, because like it's weird to have the stun and the wall bounce thing.
See, that's what I'm saying. To have the stun and the wall bounce. And stun in this game it's a stun, you know?
Yeah.
And at the higher levels, I do agree with you. They are going to figure that out. But we know the lifeblood of a game is getting new people in.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I think that after drive impact in the corner, when you land something like that, like you're relegated to like fast mediums and lights. So that's where it's like, unless you have a chain that makes sense in the corner like that, you're not going to get a whole lot of massive damage off of something like that. Especially just that's how the game's built. It's not really built for these massive combos.
No, it's not.
Unless you have a lot of gauge to build. And if you even had a little bit of gauge spent by the time you do something like that, then you only have maybe like 2 left over. So that's like 1 drive rush, and then you'll be in burnout. There's no EX moves after that. Like you could do an EX move after it, but you'd be in burnout. I don't know. Like, there's just not a whole lot. All you're really relegated to, like I said, is being able to do. You bounce light into a special attack if it has a link like that, or you bounce and then into a light super. You know, like there's just not a whole lot of like damage built into that. Whereas
that
like,
is true.
Whereas like a stun, yeah, you can hit that stun jump, do your jumping heavy attack into a full combo. That's a little different. That's what I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, though,
yeah. Yeah, it does. That's the one good thing is damage isn't OP, so you still do have, a chance, at least, like other games in the past where, you were basically, done for the night.
Like Street Fighter 5 made it is like where 2 engagements, you guessed wrong twice, and they get big damage on you. 1 tap or a throw is all they need to put you in stun, and then you're donezo at that point.
Yeah.
So it's I just don't. Yeah, Street Fighter 6 isn't built that same way. They fully understand and see that, I think, at this point, and they want to make sure to try to get around that. So.
Yeah, they definitely do. So yeah, I do agree that I think they will, eventually get around it once we get to play more, because I do think there will be an open beta before it officially does come out.
I'm thinking about it too. Like, there's so much that has to go wrong for like stun to become a thing for you.
That is true. I did notice that.
Like, so much has to go
Street Fighter 6 is definitely not like Street Fighter 5. It is.
Like, you would have had to have whiffed an EX move.
Yeah.
Whiffed drive impact, and whiffed like it not being able, like whiff a parry or something like that. And then they land some type of combo on you, drive impact in the corner, then you've been stunned. But that's because you missed like 3 or 4 things. Yeah. Like horrifically.
Yeah. By then, it's time for you to be in that state. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, basically telling you you're trash. So, which is me. So, basically, we want to know, you first, What are your thoughts on the characters in the beta that were in the beta?
I think that all of them are really cool. The one thing I thought was kind of crazy is that there was no command grab character. Like they didn't even bother introducing even one.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we don't.
We can't get Geef in there.
Geef hasn't really been like officially announced as a character yet. It's unplayable yet.
No, not playable yet. Right.
So like, what is it? 6? Is it 6 that we have as playable right now? 8. Yeah. So even within those 8 characters, we don't even have a command grab character.
Yeah.
Now we do have a couple of characters that have command grabs, like Kimberly, but
basically their go-to.
Yeah. So that part was kind of funky, but I mean, all the characters felt so different from each other, and I think that's what a lot of people are going to love about Street Fighter 6 starting out is that there's very little weird, like, same characters built in and stuff. Outside of Ken and Ryu, everyone else feels the same. Even then, Ken and Ryu have 2 very different play styles right now. So whereas their Shotos, Street Fighter 6 is really built in. Street Fighter 5 did that as well, but Street Fighter 6 really brought in, like, these are 2 different characters. So I do wonder how they're going to do Shotos going forward. That's really interesting. But all the other characters, like Blanca was... No, Blanca's not in the game, but...
Oh, I was about to say, hey, Mr. Guy Stampede, you got some breaking news for us?
I'm just really looking forward to Blanca. But Guile is who I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Guile is just so strong. I love the way that Guile is currently presented in this game. So it made me want to actually try Guile.
Yeah.
I didn't.
You didn't?
Because I'm not comfortable enough on my snack box to be able to play charge characters just yet. But I feel as if it would be so fun.
He was fun.
So, I think the cast that's currently available in the beta has all been very fun to play, very fun to touch. And that's what I got so far.
Yeah, I totally agree. I absolutely love Ken. Ken felt so much fun. He's back to this classic Ken. Ryu, just solid character, no longer being trash tier. I mean, that was great to see. And I was surprised how much I love playing with Jamie. Mm-hmm. I only got to play at the end with Jamie. Very unorthodox character. Really didn't understand with the whole, drinking, mechanic, but he was a lot of fun. Jury, I think is the best. In the beta, I think she was the best. Her dash, it makes it to where she can do whatever, and she was just devastating. And I played a lot of Juries and a lot of Kens, and it was just basically I played with Ken and Yuri the most, and it was just a lot of fun. And I did play with Kimberly. I liked her a lot. Great mix-up character. Just a lot of functionality. And like you said, every character felt like their own character. It didn't feel like copy and paste. They just all have their own great mechanics. The mix-ups are great. The throws, the projectiles. Now, Luke, boring. I'm sorry. Boring. He's just a generic character, pick up and play. But, even him, is that each character really seems like they put a lot of time into them and they're just very smooth. I have no negative feedback for any of the characters. I would have liked to see Blanca and E Honda, I'll be honest, in the beta. But as far as all the characters, it was just a lot of fun. And like Guile, like you said, great zoner in this game. Yeah. Very heavy. I mean, his sonic boom, everything just felt like
so clean.
Great. Right. So clean. And it just, the characters all just really like Tekken. Tekken is very good with the specifics. Yeah. And it seems like they learned from Bandai Namco on specifics. Yeah. Not just, hey, it's.
Yeah, ever since what was it, season 4 or season 3 of Street Fighter 5?
Yeah, season 3.
It's just so clean.
Yes.
It looks so clean.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter 6 is only looking even more clean. Like, it's just more of this amazing, same clean, just really powerful looking stuff. I love it.
Yes. So keep it up, Capcom. Y'all are doing a great job with the characters on this. And another thing, we finally got it. The Netcode. What are your thoughts?
Man, the Netcode was awesome. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. I maybe had one disconnect.
Welcome home.
The entire time. I even was able to play somebody 10 times in a row. So
never thought. Capcom.
And the connection just felt really good.
Yeah.
I don't know who I played from all over, whatever. I didn't pay attention to that. All I know is that all the matches I played were pretty much all clean.
Yes.
So the Netcode is looking real good right now for sure.
And I can second that. I played to anywhere, everywhere, and never had an issue. I mean, I thought that basically it's me and you sitting next to each other playing. I never thought Capcom could do this. You know me. I was very skeptical of Capcom trying to pull off rollback netcode. But they were rolling right with it because this was very clean, no issues, all the matches I had. And the thing that I love the best, the rematch.
Yeah, being able to just
snap a finger, literally, just get right back in the game. No delay. Yeah. Right back.
That was really good.
It was just very good because that is one thing that we all love is to be able to rematch right away. Like you said, 10 matches in a row. That was something that I really, really liked. And
I like that they added like the counter for wins and losses whenever you're in a set with somebody.
Yes.
That way, even if there's like a streak that was there previously, like you'd be able to see what that set currently is doing. So as long as you've switched characters, there's a new set, but the streak is still something that is separate from what's going on there. I like that.
Again, another thing that's specific that they are starting to do. And hey, everybody was worried about the netcode, but like basically it was the best ever.
And like it's cool to sit at that too. Like whenever you're doing like a tournament and you go sit somewhere and you start a series, like let's just say a best of 5, and the person before you was on a 3-person streak and you're already 3 games deep and it says that you have 6 up. And it's just like, okay, well, did the last person have 6? Am I 3 up now? Like,
right.
That's just cool that they have it, that whenever you do switch characters, that they reset that count.
And that's going to make it good to do first to 10s, first to whatever, first to 5s.
Yeah.
So you no longer have to be in your head.
Yeah, you have to guess up. Yeah. Yeah. The guesswork. Yeah, for sure.
And, starting people to, throw hands, because we will, we know how these boys get. So yeah, flawless, 10 out of 10. With that being said, the question is, will Street Fighter 6 dominate the FGC when it's released?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say that it does. Like, as long as the netcode doesn't suck, and it doesn't have, like, just terrible day one, whatever, and especially if it delivers on the single-player content, and it's already delivering on the custom games content, and the character creator as well, because, day one character creator thing is going to be out the chart. Because somebody created Hagar the other day, and I was like, okay.
Don't tell me that.
Like,
you've been keeping secrets from me? You've been keeping secrets from me?
No.
Mr. God and Stampede, are you keeping secrets from me? You're breaking my heart right now. We don't have a divorce? Because it sounds like it right now. You said Hagar.
Look,
somebody play Hagar?
They're going to be making all kinds.
Do you have this person's phone number?
I don't.
Listen, you're always having stuff. You right now have to account for yourself, sir. Because I love Hagar. I don't know what else I need to say. Because, man, that one hurts right now. Because that person making Hagar, it would be a honor.
It would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
To see him again. That's much I know for sure.
Hey, if you're watching the combat report, Mr. Whoever, hey, I need to know. Because Hagar, that's...
We're going to be seeing some really cool stuff, especially if they add a lot of really cool, like, cosmetics and ways to, like, scars and, like, masks and stuff that you can put on your character. Because I could easily see somebody making Spawn or somebody making
that'd be great.
Or the Flash or something like that.
Right.
That part of the content is just going to explode by itself. Just like how Mii's and people made Jack Black from Nintendo, like, on Nintendo Mii, like, those kinds of things are going to come into play. All of a sudden, you're going to see every celebrity known to man, but there's somebody out there that's going to be able to do that stuff, which is going to make the game look like it's always populated. That's going to be something that is a whole subset by itself. It's going to be like, Jack Black is playing this and he's going the spinning bird kick. Like,
yeah, the spinning bird kick. Jack Black doing spinning bird. The welcome to 2022.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, I think that if they're knocking out on those pieces, especially if they do really well on the story content and they don't just like do just an abysmal, stupid job like they did with Infinite, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and then Street Fighter 5. Like, Street Fighter 4 was already kind of choppy. Like, it wasn't exactly beyond the realm of weird for what Street Fighter normally offers. It was still all right comparatively, but like Marvel Infinite was like, really? What the heck is going on? And the Street Fighter 5 was just like, no, this is just absolutely asinine.
No.
So as long as they're able to do better than basically Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because that was just a touch better than
they don't do better than that. We just might as well go to the grave site right now.
And it just looks like they are going to do better. That's kind of the deal. Is that like right now, as it currently stands, it's like they're taking it seriously.
Oh, yeah, that's the main thing. I really think they're taking it seriously, and that's why I think it could dominate, because like I said last episode, it's a video game, not just a fighting game. And when's the last time we saw a fighting game get rave reviews from everybody? I mean, when's the last time? Because I'm talking to people who love to complain, are not.
Yeah.
And there was so much buzz about people not getting it in the closed beta. And people understand it's a closed beta. I know there was only so many codes and everything, but this is not an open beta. So that's why everybody didn't get to play. Because, we saw some feedback and discourse about people not getting to play. But I saw a lot of people did get to play.
Yeah.
But it was a closed beta. And I think people don't understand with a closed beta, only so many people are going to get to play.
Yeah. So it's like, especially if they were only looking for so many people per platform.
Right.
If they had, if they're only going to let 10,000 people in on Xbox side and only 20,000 people signed up, that means half of the people who play Xboxes want to get in, got in. But on the computer side, if they had 80,000 signups and they're only going to take 10,000 people, that means 1 in 8 people that sign up for computer got in. You can only sign up for one platform. So you got to keep those kinds of things in mind as well with the closed part is just, you got to play the numbers game. If only 1 in 8 gets in, then you got to sign up with multiple accounts, basically. That's the tip and trick, if you will, to be able to get in at all.
Listen to this guy, multiple accounts, got the hookup. So yeah, I mean, I do think this game will dominate because they're putting the characters in people like all the mechanics, character creator, single player mode. It's got a lot you can get your hands around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm no doubt because they had to kill the closed beta and they did.
Yeah.
So now it's nothing but positive,
I don't even think they had emergency maintenance during the whole beta either. Usually during a beta, you'll have some type of maintenance period.
That's true.
I'm not even sure if they did emergency maintenance.
I did not see it because anytime I play, I get on.
Yeah.
And I don't know the last time I played a beta because we won't talk about the first Good to Gear Strive beta. Yeah,
that was fun.
That was a lot of that. That was
fun.
Yeah, a lot of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, the last game that really had rave reviews from people might have been Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or King of Fighters 13.
And that was a long time ago now.
And King of Fighters 13 had its own, problems as well.
Right.
Some people, but
yeah, man,
that's quite a while.
Oh, it is.
I mean, Street Fighter 4 obviously had its audience, and it was as big as it could. I mean, no game has really been as big as that except for Smash.
No.
And I guess you could say Smash would be the last. I mean, every single time Smash comes out, except for Brawl. Brawl's the only one that's universally hated.
Yeah.
And Ultimate has its gripes as well, but I think a lot of people generally like Ultimate. They'll play it.
Yeah.
Even if it's begrudgingly, they'll still play it. So yeah, I think it will take over. It has a very high probability to do so just because of their current showing. So as long as they don't, flub it like they were doing in previous iterations, like problems with characters on disc for Street Fighter 4, Marvel 3, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, as long as they're not doing those kinds of things where they're leaving characters on disc and charging for it later, as long as you're just a little bit smarter than that. Just a little bit.
A little bit, Capcom. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it up.
Just know that people are going to get in them files and figure something out. So, only leave in there what you're okay with being found out. As long as they're cool with doing that, then people won't really gripe about much. They're not going to worry about stages that were missed, characters that were missed, lines that were missed. Because I think right now there was something that was added to the game files on one of the last days of the beta, or maybe the first day of the beta, something like that, where it was a new animation that nobody can be affected by right now. Sleep, I think it was. So there's potentially a character coming out that puts characters to sleep. And
oh my goodness.
So we'll see what that kind of comes about to. But yeah, so it's stuff like that where if you don't want it to be found, don't put it on the disc and people won't be mad. So if they have sleep in the game right now and a character with sleep doesn't come in the first 18 characters at launch, either people would be mad that well, what the heck is this for? You're holding a character from us, or people are really excited, oh, they didn't. Well, what is this character that puts people to sleep? So there's two ways to do it, but as long as they don't, goof themselves in that manner, and the netcode doesn't suck once everybody gets in.
Oh, please, Capcom, we're finally here. Please don't take it away.
Yeah. It's just, I think that overall, there's very little possibility for them to flub. Even when Street Fighter 5 beta was out, people were worried.
Yeah.
Because there just wasn't a whole lot that we knew about the game at the time. And for Street Fighter 6, the only thing we don't know right now is literally how the story will flow. We know how the open world works. We know how different parts of it are going to work. We've seen those things. They look like they're going to work just fine. Especially for how you can kind of have an RPG element to progressing your custom character. So we'll see how the actual story content itself lands. Because if the story content itself is just dumb, then people might call it kind of a flop. But I still think it would be half and half because the actual PvP portion of it's still going to be amazing, I think. I don't think that anything could possibly change the PvP portion that would make it bad. Because right now it's just good. So that's probably about it. I think it will definitely dominate, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, I cannot say more. So yeah, thank you, Capcom, for this, because I think both of us have rave reviews, loved it, chef's kiss, all of that for this beta for Street Fighter 6. All right, we know what time it is for the combat report. As always, we have Mr. Gotta Stampede here with more info on possible characters for Project L. And what do you have for us today, sir?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about my third character on the list of my possible 4 characters that I do want in the game that I had called before we even got the announcement for whatever next character was happening.
Nostradamus over here.
And so those characters, again, as a refresher, were Alawi, Vi, Azir, and Twisted Fate. So Alawi was the one that was announced. We talked about her already, and obviously Riot has talked a little bit about what she's got going on. We don't have any full things, but we know that she's coming. Vi was the one we talked about yesterday. The Enforcer of Piltover came from Zaun, which is like the underbelly, the undercity of Piltover, really the grime of it all. And so she was able to kind of, so to speak, get out of that, but she's like just the fist of justice for the wardens of Piltover. So she
like the Texas Hammer, I'm guessing.
Yeah, pretty much. Without the whole law degree, she's just out there giving out hands to everybody. So she got massive gauntlets. We'll have fun with that. So the one we'll talk about today is Azir, the Emperor of the Eternal Sands. So Azir is one of the animal hybrid race people in League of Legends. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but basically they're hybrid people like Ari, who's already been announced in the game. She's a fox person. Azir is basically an eagle person. He looks like Ra from Egyptian lore and the sun god Ra. So he has some of that built into his stuff. He's got like this sun idol that he can summon from dead turrets. So like in League of Legends, you have to kill turrets to get to your opponent's base, and then you can kill the base and you win. He can resurrect turrets, and that is part of his kit. So it'd be cool to see something like that built into what he can do in the game, where he's throwing out some type of turret and he can hit your opponent.
I agree.
So another cool thing that he has, because his whole character is an emperor that had built this massive empire from the city of Shurima, which that whole continent, the desert continent, is called Shurima. So he's trying to basically rebuild his empire. He was on the cusp of achieving immortality before he was betrayed and his whole city was sunk into the sands. He was then resurrected later, and he's trying to bring the sands back. He is to just make everything arise. So just like he can make the turrets come back, he's also got sand soldiers to work with as well. So these sand soldiers can have spears or they can have shields. And for one of his just regular attacks, one of his regular skills, he summons one of these sand soldiers that has a spear. And that can attack while he's also attacking if it's in a certain area, but he can also send it shooting forward to hit people in a line. So I could see something like that being added to the fighting game side, where he can summon, these kind of pets or puppets and make them attack. He could be a puppet character in general, where he can do those kinds of things, or he could just be kind of like a pet character where he would send out certain attacks to do certain things, where it would be like a command and the command would make the thing shoot out, kind of like Chizuru in King of Fighters, where she kind of has like a clone that shoots out in front of her. It could be kind of like that. Or it could just be kind of like Arakune from BlazBlue, where you do an attack and it just does like a random pet that does some random direction attack. Who knows what it does? So there could be some of that built into that spear puppet gameplay. But then the shield puppet in the game, League of Legends, it pushes people back. So you can make them, push people, like a whole team, away from you to like keep your team safe. Or if you play kind of crazy with it, you can make it to where the shields push everybody towards you. So like if you have your turret, you can push people in towards you, block them into the lane with that. Well, they're trapped in with the turret and with you, and all you do is just shoot them down until they're dead. And Azir has a spear that has lightning attacks that come off of it. So he's got some range to do what he does as well. So with the lightning whole aspect, there's all kinds of other really cool, crazy lightning things that he could have as well in his kit on the fighting game side. So we're talking pets, we're talking puppets, and we're talking turrets. There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Everything at the Jerry Springer show.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so that's just another character I think is very unique in League of Legends that I think would be very cool, very unique mechanics that could be built into a Marvel-style system, especially with the assists. Just built in a Project L. So yeah, Azir of the Eternal Sands, go look him up. He looks wicked. I think he'd be a wicked character. And yeah, that's my character that I'm talking about this week.
Thank you again, Devin, for that. Because that character, that is somebody I want to play. Please write it. Please write. You know, this is the official podcast of Project L. This is what we get. We give you info every podcast on the Combat Report. And as always, with that being said, again, yours truly, Brian, with Devin. Until the next time, take it easy, everybody.
Peace.